Wassail, beautiful people. It's time for a random read on the Mercury Retrograde, which is taking place today and tomorrow, depending on where you are in the world. And it's joining Saturn in retrograde, and it will be there until 22nd, 23rd, 22nd, 23rd of June. But on the solstice day, Jupiter will turn retrograde, and then we'll have Pluto, Saturn and Jupiter, the three lords of karma, all in retrograde, waiting on Neptune turning retrograde on the 26th of June, Chiron on the 16th of July, Ceres 24th of July, and then finally Gaia, Uranus, on the 20th of August. As I said, Mercury will have gone out of retrograde, but on the 27th of September, it will join that retrograde. So, massive amount of big energies, all getting ready to happen. I've also booked my next stay, which will take place in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to a very, 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 the hottest part of the country to test out my limits. I'm going to somewhere incredibly isolated, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and hopefully we should get some new energetic readings, but I've got no idea what to expect. There's a little part of me that thinks I'm a bit crazy for doing it, but look, it's very Jotunheimr. It's about pushing myself to limits and seeing what we can get when we go there together. So let's have some bells. I want to say waning moon, full moon waning down to a new moon in this eclipse tunnel. All the energies calming down, and then out into the light. So let's move Neptune's bowl. Oh, and I will be going and finishing Neptune's healing, the grid work, for those that are following that. That will take place this week. So apparently we're starting with the Odin cards. I don't know what this reading's going to be about. It's just literally going in and asking, it's a truthful destiny for the collective. What's Mercury bringing to the mix right now in this eclipse tunnel? So what's Mercury bringing to the mix in this eclipse tunnel? Raid and the Norns, they were determined to come out. So what's happening? We've got this opening energy, we've got this frequency, a journey. Raid is a journey. It's an emotional journey. It's a journey of things lifting up, floating up from the depths of the Akashic records to become wired in to our future pathways. It's like having a veil removed. So it's a little bit like when I talk about DNA trauma, forget the trauma word for the moment, just go with the notion that within your DNA are frequency codes that are written there. So at the moment, this alignment of the planets will match some point in your ancestry when these planets were in the same alignment. And at that point, it's like the chord of the music of the spheres retunes itself and activates certain energies within you. It's like you suddenly pick up the frequencies, and that's what the Raid card is talking to me about. It's talking about things just floating up from the Akashic storeroom and coming towards us to give us some kind of understanding of something deep within us. And sometimes that can be related to current energetic behaviors of countries that are part of your DNA. And it doesn't matter where you live, they're being activated. So, Raid and the Norns. And I want to say, I always want to say, this is deep wisdom. Very deep wisdom here from the pool. And this is the past, present and future all being present. So it's very much being physically connected to Janus and being able to look at the past and the future while witnessing the present so that you can work to move forwards through this eclipse season. So let's toss a few of the Muse Tarot. Oh, look, it's a co-creation of destiny. Sorry, I had that one up the wrong way. Oy. A co-creation of destiny in the split. Really interesting frequencies taking place all around us. Cosmically magical opportunities unfolding that I want to say you can't imagine, but I also want to say you kind of do imagine it, but you've been too scared to peep before. Peep behind the curtain. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? Was a game we played in childhood. And he would say 2 o'clock and you would move 2 steps or whatever. Anyway, what do we have to go with Reid and the Norns? So those 2 cards came together, these 2 cards, all 3 cards came together. Oh, interesting, look. The 8 of Inspiration, followed by the 9 of Emotions and the Ace of Emotions. So, this is the energy of the tunnel. This card is talking about the eclipse. And we have the sun. You're rushing, we're rushing, everyone's collectively rushing towards the exit point on the 10th of June. It's a manic energy. It's fast. It can feel that energy. I want to say that there's something deeply rooted in the sacral that's uncomfortable collectively. Things we need to look at. I'm getting that energy I got the other day in a reading of a stomach pain that needs to be removed, that needs to be cleaned up, that needs to be... It's like taking the blade out and wiping off all the dirty energies. It has to be dealt with. That's what these eclipse tunnels are for, so that we have the space and the opportunity and the comfort to deal with this. So you're rushing towards a kind of genie moment. You know, this is very much Aladdin. Down here we have the lamp and you are the genie. But this is talking to me about how you have to create your own destiny by having your meditative moment at Null Island, which there will be a reading about. I'm just waiting for some new cards that have been stuck in customs for days. But as soon as they arrive, hopefully before the 2nd and the 3rd, we'll be able to do the Null Island reading with the new cards. So, and it's about bringing up new emotions. You know, this energy of Reid floating to the surface from the Akashic records, that's exactly what this card is doing. You're going to come into a moment in Null Island, and Null Island is the 0 degree north, 0 degree east. It's a small spot in the Atlantic Ocean, and it's about 4 miles off the coast of Ghana. But that's the point at which we're going to learn to do this meditation with Janice, to come into our own truthful, wishful movement forwards, so that we can allow all these new regenerative emotions to rise. And they are about a healing, massively about a healing. And then the 2 cards that came with it are the 5 of Emotions and the Queen of Materials. So here we've got this energy of unfreezing something that was blocked, and it's this frequency that the music of the spheres that I mentioned is going on, is a stuck frequency, not because you can't face dealing with it, but until the music of the spheres reaches that and tunes its energy into those frequencies within your DNA, they don't have the chance to melt away. You don't have the chance to add new emotional language to those moments. And where's it bringing us? Back through the world. Look, this is almost a journey. She's peeping out of the moon portal, heading towards the sun, blooming into a new material world, a new place within the world. So Let's have another. So what else would you like to say, please? What else would you like to say? So they're both on the floor because you got to dig deep, because this frequency is digging deep. Look, we've got Logir. Logir couldn't be more like this, but this is talking about like Reid. It's emotions, old deep emotions, and I am avoiding the word traumas because not all of them are necessarily traumas that exist within you, but they're old energies, and they're being this. There's something about being wrapped in a spiritual comfort that comes with this. The eclipse tunnel is a spiritual comfort, offering us something wonderful, and we have Frigg. This is a spiritual destiny moment, and she's in line with the norms. Destiny and inevitability. Go with the flow that's taking shape around you. So, oh, and on the base of the deck is spiritual inheritance as an overall frequency. That was me having a little Cindy moment. I love it when she looks at the base of the deck. Sometimes it offers more information than the cards that have come out, because it gives the energetic undertone to something, like the base note of the planet, the root. Look, this is an awakening tunnel. It's a release. They're saying it's a release of energy. These old, trapped music of the spheres moments that need releasing. And now we've had a big amount of cards come out. So, Muse of Voices. So this is the card that represents a frequency, because it's voices. It's about the energy of the moon as it passes in front of the sun for the solar eclipse, opening this new tunnel. There's a triangle at the very back of the tunnel, and the triangle is representing the divine code that's on the three of materials, coins, in the Thoth deck, which is the Nikola Tesla code. The trap that we're caught between, that frequency that's trapped in your body, and at this point now, as the music of the spheres reaches this optimum perfect moment, it unlocks that frequency and it adds in the divine 9 frequency that allows you to pass through this light portal as we go to the solar eclipse. And then we have a series of doors. We've got the 2 of Voices and the 7 of Voices, along with this Muse, which is the top trump, so to speak, in this deck. You've got the 2 of Voices and the 7 of Voices. So this makes the divine 9. This is the energy that I've just said about with the Tesla code. And what it's saying is that you have to untangle your fears that exist within you that don't even belong to you. They're part of your DNA. They're something that you can't help when it gets triggered, having these moments. And it's just saying that you're being divinely wrapped. Logir is here with Frigg. Frigg is that protective frequency. It's all part of a destiny that's taking place in this time tunnel period. It's 16 days of eclipse season in Gemini, which we call the Janus Geminis. And then the door is open. In both of these cards, the portal is open as the moon lifts to reveal the doorway heading towards you. And then, whereas before we had the Queen of Materials, she wasn't quite out the tunnel. She's still peeping through the emotional shadows from the other side of the moon, and she's preparing to come into the earth. This part of the reading ends with the Ace of Materials. This is to come out of that portal with all the energy around you to make a new frequency for you, your DNA, in the real world, because you're going to be changing DNA memories. You're going to be releasing them. So that's the first part. Just going to slide the cards up a little bit, and now we're going to go on to the Shamanic Oracle deck, just to add a little bit more information about what's going on. So, can we please have some more information about Mercury and the effect of this? It's interesting, actually, sorry, now that I've said Mercury, that's what this is to do with. Mercury is offering you a fluidity of frequencies. Like, this is like you being retuned. The awakening doorway, it's frequencies. It's very much music of the spheres, like a radio frequency, finding a particular pitch and tuning you into something brand new. So Mercury, what do you want to say that you're doing as your retrograde? It's they're kind of giving me in my head this image of Mercury being like this little treble singer, you know, a pre-puberty voice. Something very fresh, but singing something with absolute purity, because there's a different kind of tonality and timbre attached to younger voices that don't exist when our voices become older. So Mercury, so we have the Serpent, which is 46, I think. Yeah, 46. It's about a completion and a new beginning, a shedding of a skin. I always get this energy around the edge of this card that the eclipse is allowing the blowing away, the clearing of some kind of toxicity that exists within our DNA, and then the Rainmaker to burst forth with the new emotions. And that's what this earlier part of the message was about. By fixing the emotional language with all these cards of emotions that are taking place, by clearing them up with frequency, seeing, witnessing the frequency, you get to create a whole new emotional language. It's like being given new Jupiter energies, is what they're saying. Jupiter energies. Right, I'm going to grab these cards now then and ask about this Jupiter frequency. So Jupiter goes retrograde on the 21st, which is solstice, so summer or winter solstice depending on where you are in the world, but it's a very important frequency. Hopefully, fingers crossed people, I'm going to a place that's near to that Neolithic stone circle, and so with luck I'm going to try and arrange to go to the stone circles and see what we can pick up on the solstice. It's exciting. So, Jupiter energy. What's this about Jupiter energy? Cleansing of the wings, as I'm hearing. Cleansing of the energy wings. So the energy wings are G, and they enter the thyroid and thymus. Oh, again, I'm being told that's about a change of frequency within the voices, the throat chakra frequency. G runs down your body and rotates around and around in circles, and all your other energies pass through. It's like this is a grand cleansing. So the tunnel is like Hanged Man, Odin, hanging from Yggdrasil to have some kind of transformation. Look, it's fascinating. Just below and above, you have the snake down here, the Yang Kundalini of Earth frequency, the physical body, the DNA, and then at the top here you have the Yin Kundalini, so that's Isis and Osiris, and they create Horus. And so those two snakes that are there are what we had with this first card, this connecting of Kundalini energy through this tunnel to bring it. Look, I'm not trying to say that you're going to get this moment that where all the energies burst in, but what you are going to get is a moment where they kiss and touch and create some kind of energetic healing that will burst from within you. But it's got a lot to do with the need for preparation in this tunnel, and then to know we've got Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and we're about to get Jupiter added to the mix, and that's when what you've taken from the Janus Geminis, as you've gone through the eclipse tunnel, you'll come out on the other side, and then that energy will pulse forwards. So you have waiting in restrictive 12 frequency to be released, And then you have the Knight of Discs. The Knight of Discs is a stage on from the Queen of Materials. It's landing and bringing the new sun energy, the new energy that's post solar eclipse, and resonating that from within you. It's like your body is being given a retune. So channels that used to resonate within you, so maybe you used to pick up some kind of, like, you know, BBC World Service, you won't pick that up anymore because you've got a new frequency developing inside your body. And that's what this Seven of Wands is talking about, a new frequency. You're moving towards, through this tunnel, into a new frequency. It's interesting that the only card that we've got here is Mars in Leo. And Mars is not in Leo just yet, but it's heading there. There's something about the incoming Lion's Gateway portal. But before that, there's also the energy of the 13 Moon Galactic New Year, which this year is Electric Yellow Seed. And they're kind of talking somehow about this, about renewal. It's about planting something new. You go into the depths of your thing. You look at the reverse side of the moon. Instead of thinking of the moon as a mystery, turn the moon around and see the shadow. Look into the shadow. It's a little bit like dark water scrying, taking a black bowl and putting water in and looking at the reflections and the images that form in the water that come towards you. So, dark scrying. So interesting. I've got to bend down to reach it. It's the Ace of Materials again. And this one's all about the change of snake, because it's Ophium Tumela, or Tumeta, and it's to do with shedding the skin and starting a new cycle. So biting your own tail, but releasing the skin and creating a new cycle, a frequency up, coming into something new, being rebirthed. But it's just fabulous that both of these lines are talking about the newness with which you can approach life post eclipse tunnel. It's like being given a gift. So a little bit more just to add something else. It's me old mucker, the Time Master. He's saying that this is timeless. This energy, eclipse tunnels, are timeless. All the other times you have your natal chart, and we have transits that take place all the time, and they have echoes throughout your chart. And yeah, they're very complicated, but they can be read slowly. You can begin to understand and pull out what you need to learn. This Time Master is saying that when we reach this, and he is 12 frequency, but he's paying no attention because he's got infinity. He is this energy, but he's active within the energy because he's understanding the fluidity of the frequency, and he's working to change things. He's working to bust open things. So they're sort of saying that this is keeping an awareness of the moment on the 20th of August when we have 7 planets in retrograde, but that last one going retrograde is Gaia, Uranus, as I always call Uranus, because Gaia is crown chakra energy and Gaia is Horus energy. So it's very much an energy of, like Mercury. Mercury has a gender fluidity to it, and Gaia, Uranus, is a higher octave of that same fluidity. But this higher octave is like a laser. It can force its will on all the other planets. So it doesn't matter, as I said earlier, that Mercury was singing its little solo treble tune over the voice of Saturn and Pluto. Suddenly you're going to have 6 planets all singing their big choral sound, and now in comes the mature version of Mercury almost, singing its solo, and its solo will change the whole symphony and the choir. And that's what the time tunnel is about, preparing yourself for the changes that are coming as we move on. So let's have a look. The Time Master, what would you like to add? What would you like to add? It's a space trip, people. Actually, this t-shirt's got all of the other planets written on the back of it, but I can't turn around properly at the moment, so you just have to take my word for it. So this is they're saying you will feel at home. Mars in Aries is at home, is in rulership, when you can find the balance between your yin and the yang. We're coming backwards through, and my friend who does a lot of astrology with me is kind of talking about this frequency of eclipse tunnels when they're full moon to new moon being yin energy, and that when you go from solar eclipses towards lunar eclipses, you're dealing with yang energy. So this is about the point when you exit the tunnel, at the point when all that yin energy is waned down, we reach that point where you need to be at one with your movement forwards. And that's what the Time Master is saying. Find the space to be at one with yourself. Find the space. This is fascinating. This is the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. It's written down there, Sagittarius. It's about connecting with the spiritual warrior, your journey forwards, your destiny to move into this new frequency that you're creating. And that's a divine 9. It's the 9 of wands, which in most decks is about that sense of reaching a point where you almost can't go on. But in this deck, it isn't about that. This is again this energy here. So sun in Sagittarius with the moon, it's that same idea of becoming something new. Not instantly. I'm not saying you come out that door at the end of the lunar eclipse and you're like, woohoo. It's an ongoing process. It's something that's working on, but you need to find in this timeless tunnel where 12 frequency becomes broken into a soup so that you can construct a 13th part, this energy. That's how you move forwards from it. And then we have the 6 of swords being drawn to the fact that this is talking about the next part of the healing will take place on the 27th of September, when Mercury finally reaches into a new retrograde period. Okay, so let me just check. Mercury retrograde in Libra, it's talking about it joining air frequency to make the next part of the healing. And then we have the Princess of Swords, we have Ninlil. So it's past this point of September that the work you've prepared for during this time tunnel, eclipse tunnel, Janus Geminus, that you will be bringing balance back into your life. So post the 6th of October, it's got it on there, the 6th. It's the 6th of October is the point at which this really starts to change, because that's the point when Pluto comes out of retrograde, and then that's followed by, on the 11th of October, Saturn will come out, and then on the 18th of October, Jupiter will come out. So those 3 lords of karma are almost, they're in retrograde. This Gaia, Uranus retrograde, when this new grown-up, emotionally strong, luminous warrior energy busts all the frequencies, it's like the 3 planets will come out and they've had a strict telling off. They're feeling a bit bruised, but they're feeling benevolent towards us. So that's interesting. And Mercury will come out on the 19th, the day after Jupiter. So it's all to play for, people. There's so much magical stuff going on around us. Just going to ask the Portuguese deck to end, because I always push everything too far. So, oh look, Yang. We're heading towards the Yang at that point when the moon departs the face of the sun and it moves us into a Yang cycle. And it's got it with the idea of being in the protectiveness. This card always talks about being wrapped in protective mother womb energy. So the place that we're in right now, trouble with these cards are they're really slippy and thin. Right, so be fair. So here it's Libra energy. So it's saying the overall energy is that this tunnel is preparing us for what's coming Libra season. And it's like you need to follow the rules. You need to follow the fractals backwards through your body down to these energies that are rising up, this Reid and Logir, and facing the destiny and allowing them to transform into Rainmaker frequency. And then it's time to move on. It's time for everyone, a divine 9 ending, but it's time as we exit the solar eclipse tunnel to be prepared to move on to the fairness and balance that's coming in Libra season post the 6th. And that's a new moon when Pluto goes direct. When it goes prograde, it's a new moon. So all the energies are changing. And actually they're just saying 11-11 because we've got 3-8, which is 11 and 11. You have to move your fractals backwards through this tunnel to identify these old emotions that are not necessarily traumas, but they're unfinished frequencies that need to be dealt with. 11-11, moving on, and then the divine 9 saying it's time to go now. It's time to reach forwards. So that's a little reading. The next one hopefully will be with the new cards. Trust that that will happen for me. Because they're a really beautiful deck, and I really want to get the Null Island Janus reading with a deck that's got some really wonderful folk stories and tales from all over the world to draw in and to help us understand, because all of these, it's all very well, there are collective energies going on, but within this tuning, these cards will help us to identify areas of the world that have got messages within our DNA. So put out good intentions that my cards, please everybody, will arrive on Monday, because then I can do the reading that day and get it out on the Monday, which is the 1st. And you know, 11-11, there's all them ones, so we want them cards. Anyway, have a beautiful day. It's so hot here, I'm sweating. I don't know, I'm not quite sure how we're all going to cope when we get to this. It feels like I'm going to a desert to face the devil. But it's something that I feel I need to push myself into. Jotan Hamir, go into an extreme that you don't want to do and deal with it. So that's part of my journey forwards through towards the solstice that's coming. Okay, so have a beautiful weekend, everybody. Wassail.